Welcome! Thank you for joining us today in exploring the issue of extended learning beyond the classroom and helping students stay connected to learning with a multi-purpose teacher website. Enhance, engage, what about extend? It's time to rethink and redesign your teacher website to extend students' learning beyond the classroom. Since I am a K-5 music teacher, I will be using music learning examples in this presentation from time to time. Before we begin, I like to share a short clip with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, stay on the beat. 2, 3, 4. That's some sharp horns. 2, 3, I see you, Caleb. Got it, go for it. Way to go! Hang on. What are y'all laughing at? So Connie got a little lost in it. That's a good thing. Look, I remember one time my dad took me to this jazz club, and that's the last place I wanted to be. But then I see this guy, and he's playing these chords with fourths on it. And then with a minor, I went, whoa, whoa, whoa. Then he has the inner voices, and it's like he's singing. And I swear the next thing I know, it's like he floats off the stage. That guy was lost in the music. He was in it. And he took the rest of us with him. That's when I knew I was born to play.
Streaming this Christmas on Disney Plus.
Look around. Life has so much to offer. We only have a short time on this planet. Don't miss out on the joys of life.
What has gotten into you, boy? Cougar. Disney.
All right, so maybe you can relate to some parts of these scenes as a classroom or related arts teacher. I like to emphasize one part where Joe was encouraging a student of his to keep playing in the midst of a small chaos, and how the whole class was transported beyond the classroom into the world of jazz through the sound of his piano riffs. Like Joe inspiring his students to become better musicians and lifelong learners, we as teachers can also utilize technologies to raise up a generation of lifelong learners by extending our students' learning experiences beyond the classroom setting. Now, here's an infographic that I've created based on Liz Karen Kolb's 3E framework. This Venn diagram is meant to illustrate what a proper framework of technology integration can create when all three areas of requirements are met. As teachers living in this transitional era of our education, I felt that the rise of a generation of lifelong learners should be the outcome of a successful technology integration in the classroom. As Kolb has titled one of her articles, Engage, Enhance, and Extend Learning. Each aspect of this 3E framework are essential. However, when we are not being intentional, we tend to stop after experiencing breakthroughs in the engage and enhance phase and measure students' progress only within the classroom setting. Don't believe me? Well, let's take a look at 2 focus questions first, and then ask ourselves these questions. Focus question 1. How have you been effectively extending your students' learning experience beyond the classroom setting? Let's take a short this or that quiz. Point to the screen as you make your choice. Be careful, the question changes on the top. Are you ready? Here we go. it was not easy to find resources on this topic because it's so intertwined with the other two aspects of technology integration, which is engage and enhance. I'm so thankful Liz published research articles to bring the importance of this balanced 3E framework of learning to light. I will be sharing some quotes from her book, Learning First, Technology Second in Practice, in the next few slides to support the issue we're exploring today. In her book, Liz discussed some myths that teachers believed about each phase of the technology integration in great details. The three types of myths are engagement myths, enhancement myths, and extension myths. Engagement myths are related to screen time, one-on-one with digital devices, and multitasking with technology. Enhancement myths are related to quantity versus quality of technology use, effectiveness of educational application, underserved students and technology, adaptive software and learning, and digital versus analog. Lastly, extension myths are related to technology as a teacher replacement, interactive technology used to build soft skills in students. Now, here are some quotes from Liz's book, Learning First, Technology Second. To extend the learning, technology should support learning in authentic ways. Technology has the ability to connect students' school learning to their everyday lives. For example, in order to make the learning concepts more realistic to the student. Technology tools should be easily accessible to students in their everyday lives so that learning and knowledge gathering can occur 24/7 anytime and anywhere for students. Technology should help connect school learning curriculum with students' everyday life experiences, making the learning concepts authentic to life experiences. Technology should help build students' soft skills, such as the digital age skills described in the framework for 21st century learning, and build on students' prior knowledge. Therefore, if you have an opportunity to choose between a tool common to students in their everyday lives and a proprietary tool made just for schools to capture, construct, or support learning, it may be better to choose the everyday tool and build in scaffolds as needed. The everyday tool may support the transfer of the learning concepts more easily than a tool that students will not encounter in their everyday lives. When students' lives are well connected to their school learning, the learning becomes more relatable than when the learning activities and tools are disconnected from their home communities. Next, we have a quote from Gillespie. As educators, we know we need to support and model the learning that we want for our students in the classroom. But we tend to forget that adult educators also need opportunities to become empowered professionals in their own practice to support their students. All staff members who work with students need to use technology effectively to collaborate, evaluate, communicate, and extend the learning opportunities for their own personal and professional learning. To create a culture and a learning environment based on the ISTE standards for students, we must also give ourselves the same experiences in support of the ISTE standards for educators and leaders. Next, this is a quote from the ISTE website. At their core, the ISTE standards are about pedagogy, not tools, which is to say, they emphasize the ways that technology can be used to amplify and even transform learning and teaching. The field of education now realizes the insufficiency of throwing digital tools into classroom without further support and expecting valid changes in teaching, and, more importantly, improved student outcomes. What has not been fully realized, however, is the potential for technology to mend the gaps in equity engage students as unique individuals, and prepare them for an uncertain future. Here's a quick review of our 3E Venn diagram. Remember, creating lifelong learners should be the successful outcome we aim for after integrating technology into our classroom and extending it beyond the classroom. As teachers living in a transitional era of our education, we know the benefits of technology integration and the pros and cons of such. For example, when we integrate technology into our classrooms, we can expect to see benefits such as increased student engagement, teamwork and collaboration. Students are well prepared for life after graduation. Students and teachers are connected, and teaching outcomes are improved, and differentiated instruction are well supported. At the same time, we can also expect to see the cons such as students misusing technology, lack of support or lack of teachers' knowledge and professional development, lack of support in keeping students safe online, costs of new technology are high, and it's hard to keep up with the changes. However, I have good news. If we can create a way to help students extend their learning outside of school hours, the pros mentioned prior can be refined to become better, and the cons can be eradicated. Now let's move on to focus question number 2. Do you know how to build a Muffin Man? To build a multi-purpose teacher website to provide extended learning experiences? Let's take out our mobile device, open our camera, and then aim to scan the QR code to take a poll. Ready? Let's go. Alright, before we learn how to build a multi-purpose teacher website, let's ask ourselves the 5 W's target questions. 1. Who are we building? In my case, will be a music teacher website. Who are we building the teacher website for? 2. What are the tools we will be using today? 3. Where can people find our websites? 4. When is the deadline for completing the website? And 5, why should we build ourselves a website? Let's take out our mobile device again, open our camera, and then aim to scan the QR code to share your answers in the answer garden. Please keep your answers short, and feel free, you can share multiple times, but keep it short. Here we go. Okay, here's a Jeopardy question. Exactly just who are we building the teacher website for? I'll give you 5 counts to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Who are they? Ta-da! Here are my top 6 audience that I have in mind when I built my multi-purpose teacher website. Number one audience, cannot stress enough. Number one audience is my students, and then parents, then administration, then local community, and then global community, and then myself. Now, it's time to learn how to build. What are the tools we will be using today, you might ask? Wix.com or other website building tools like Weebly, Squarespace, or GoDaddy are also very useful. Personally, I used Wix.com. You will also need some mobile devices along with your laptop as well. But most important of all, we need a plan first. As you see that there are 4 plans laid out on the bottom of this Christmas tree. Plan, 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 plan. Now, here you will see a basic structure framework for the website planning. Here is a document that I created. We need to know what the main topic is, and then the mission statements, and then who's your main audience, and then who's your secondary audience, and then what is the first impression that you want your visitor to have when they first enter your site. Now, this form is not included in my Google Slides. If you're interested, please reach out to me and I will be glad to share with you. Now, if you click on the Wix icon and the drawing table icon in the Google Slide presentation, you will be directed to Wix tutorials and Canva's color wheel, because color wheel is important to us when you are creating a multi-purpose teacher website that's pleasant looking. Next, here's a basic structure framework for website planning. I created this as a way to show people what is the process of planning a website. So first I have a home section, and then a student area, and then lastly a contact us area. Under the home area, there are 3 main parts. The first one is about us. I would like to include a biography, a brief one to tell my audience who I am, and the pedagogy, what I believe in, what is my style of teaching, and the facility. Children would love to take a look at what kind of environment they will be stepping into. And then under the student area, there is a by grade, by ensemble, and by topics. This area depends on the subject that you teach. It may vary, but usually this is where I put materials where they will have access to beyond the classroom setting as well. Under the Contact Us, there are 3 sections. One is students, public, and alumni. I like us to stay connected, so then this is that idea of lifelong learning, lifelong learners. The idea is circulating. Okay, so once you leave my music classroom, you're still being a musician, whether or not you like to sing or whether or not you like to play instruments. As long as we have developed a lifelong learning or a lifelong love for music learning, then my goal is achieved. After we build our multi-purpose teacher website, where can people find our site? Now here's a mixed examples of music education related and social media apps. On here you notice that there is Twitter and Instagram. And I also include an icon for my Gmail, because sometimes you can attach your website as a part of your email signature. Now, it's time for you to interact with us again. Let's take out our mobile device again, open our camera, and then aim to scan the QR code to share your answers in a different answer garden. The question is, when is the deadline for completing our site? I will give you 30 seconds to answer. Are you ready? Here we go. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up. All right, great. And now, the answer, or I should say the correct answer is, ta-da! A lifetime! While the initial setup of the website can have a deadline, the building of the website is an ongoing process as you or me add, remove information, or even redesign the site throughout our career. Lastly, do you know why should we build ourselves a website? Are you ready for the answer? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Here are my top 6 reasons. Number one, for my students, and for my students to develop intrinsic motivation, to want to get closer to the learning subject on their own, and learning beyond the classroom setting as well. Parents are my secondary audience, and I would like to keep an open communication so that they know that what is going on in our classroom. And next level is the administration. I advocate for my subject at school, and the fourth layer and the fifth layer are the same, local community and global community. I'm looking for collaboration opportunities. And then lastly, I create a teacher's website that's multi-purpose. It's also a way to keep track of my online portfolio. Now, there are quite a few resources listed over here. And thank you again for joining us today in exploring extending learning beyond the classroom through the use of creating a multi-purpose teacher website. Personally, I think extended learning beyond the classroom setting is very important because it creates intrinsic motivation that is authentic, which will not only reinforce but also enhance students' learning experience. So if they're enhanced, then I would say that students have no way but to engage in the learning process. So please visit slides 30, 31, and 32 for more information on references and recommended resources. And thank you again for joining us today. Have a good one.